All right, number 9 says an automobile moving at 12 meters per second on level ground begins to decelerate at a rate of 1.6 meters per second squared. The formula for the distance an object has traveled is this, where v naught is the initial velocity and a is the acceleration. And then the question here is, for what value of t does d of t equal 40 meters? So in other words, how long does it take for you to be 40 meters away, given the initial speed of 12 meters per second and a deceleration of 1.6 meters per second. All right, so let's plug in the initial value, which is 12, and the deceleration is 1.6 meters per second squared, which means that the acceleration is negative 1.6. So this is 1/2 times negative 1.6 meters per second squared times t squared. And we want to know how long it's going to take for the distance to be 40 meters. So let's plug in that 40 there. So now we just need to solve for t. That's going to tell us how long, at what time was the distance 40 meters. All right, so let's multiply this here. 1/2 times 1.6 is going to be, or negative 1.6 is negative 0.8 t squared. And this is going to be 12t equals 40. Let's move everything over to this side of the equation. So this becomes positive 0.8 t squared. If we subtract 12t from both sides, we get negative 12t plus 40 is equal to 0. All right, so what I want to do here, in order to, it would be really nice if this were a 1 here. Let me rewrite this. This is 8/10, which is the same, well, let me just write it as 8/10. And then let's multiply this whole thing by the reciprocal of that, and that'll give us 1 here. So if we multiply this whole thing by 10/8, then this term, 8/10 times 10/8 is just 1, so this is t squared. Minus 12t, so 12 times 10 is 120, divided by 8 is 15t, plus 40 times 10 is 400, divided by 8 is going to be 50. Now we've got something that's much easier to factor. We just need two numbers that multiply to 50 and add to negative 15. So that's going to be negative 5 and negative 10. So if t minus 5 is 0, then t equals 5. If t minus 10 is 0, t equals 10. So t is equal to 5 or 10. Now if you think about these in terms of the problem that we're given, we've got a car that's decelerating, and we want to know how long is it going to be until it's 40 meters away. It doesn't seem to make sense that we would have two answers. In fact, what this problem assumes is that this acceleration continues below 0. So our car is moving along, it gets 40 meters away 5 seconds after we started slowing down, and then we keep slowing down to the point where we start backing up. And we're 40 meters away again after 10 seconds. So the 10 seconds maybe makes less sense than the 50 seconds, or than the 5 seconds, but both of those answers are legitimate in the context of this problem.